Jack. All right. You got this stuff?
Yeah. All cleaned and oiled.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's get it on.
Who are these guys?
It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
Hot damn, it's time to get down to the jam. It's time to get down. It's time to get down. It's time to get down to the jam. I said it's time to get down to the knowledge. Gonna get on down with the know. On the morning coffee show. On morning coffee with Keith. Here on Pop Culture Minefield.
Excuse me, can I get a cup of coffee? Black?
Can't you see we talking? White? Good morning, everyone. Wow. Whoo. Been a little bit since since I've done this. Had to take last week off, but I am back. How are you, Martin? Well, okay. You know what? Martin's busy doing Martin stuff, making sure I'm being put out there for everybody to listen to. So I just want to, as always, thank him. Good morning, Penny. D. Bud Martin. And of course, we've been graced with the presence of Anima Confusa. Hey, right back at you, Anima girl. So I hope everybody's week has been going fine so far. I'd like to say mine's all right, you know? Anyway, I think for this particular episode, I think I wanted to get an opportunity to talk about something that is kind of near and dear to me and kind of sets the stage for, I think, something that I was really excited about when I first began to hear the rumblings for this. But I don't know, I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Penny has news. Penny says she has a new granddaughter. Wow, congratulations. Oh, wow, there's nothing like that. Nothing like that at all. I once said that being a grandparent is probably the best job in the world. Here's the thing about it. I wasn't exactly correct. It's not a job, at all. It's fun is exactly what it is. And I can't even begin to I just never could picture what it would be like to be a grandparent until I became one. And when you hold your first grandchild, it is just it alters your perspective on quite a few things.
Congratulations, Benny.
Why you motherfuckers invite me here? What's going on? This is Tyrone Moncrief. Why the fuck? I was eating my grits and you motherfuckers called me?
Oh, grits. Okay. Well, I didn't mean to disturb you, Roan. You know.
Someone said Keith wasn't here. Now I see you're motherfucking here. Why am I here?
How you doing?
Look at that, Keith.
I know that pretty lady beside you. You still paying her to hang out with you, man?
I sent her a check. There's some money in the account. So yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on. I wanted to make sure that the show got started. So, but you're here.
Yeah.
And so I thought we'd drop and still say hi.
It's always good when you guys say hi. Don't get it twisted. I love it when you drop by. Both of you.
The fucking
it's good to see.
Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you. Last night we kept asking for Zax to invite us, but he sent it to the PCM account.
Oh.
I'm like, I'm never on the PCM account. Send it to me personally. Martin is on the PCM account more than me.
Wow.
And what's really funny, this one cracks me up. When I am on the PCM account on YouTube, every single time I go to watch a show with one of our friends, it doesn't matter if it's Tom, Midnight's Edge, doesn't matter who it is. Okay. They go, what's up, Gary? Keith? I don't know which one that is. And I write, it's always Gary. Keith never has logged onto this account ever. Keith is Movie Keith. Movie Keith is Keith. If it says Pop Culture Minefield, it's a fucking white guy, and you know it. They'll never learn.
Well, you know what? It's a good thing you're here. It's a good thing you're here because part of what I'm going to talk about kind of ventures into that territory a little bit. I'm sure everybody by now has heard the news. Jeez. Kind of, sort of. By now, everybody has heard the news that Aaron Pierre has been cast as Jon Stewart for the upcoming Lantern series from HBO. Now, this young man is currently, he has a Netflix movie out with Don Johnson, and he's really good in it. I mean, the guy can move. I would like to say that the main reason why it took so long to get all this official is they had to negotiate not just the series, but the movies. Because whoever was going to take the part of Jon Stewart will become the official Green Lantern from here on out for James Gunn's DC Universe. Which is good news and bad news at the same time. Good news because, hey, we're going to have Jon Stewart live action. Bad news is that they're basically going to screw fans on everything else, including Jon Stewart's backstory, because of this new series called Lanterns, which really is just a repackaged version of True Detective Season 1. And I think that True Detective was really good for what it was. But I wouldn't have used that as the basis of a television series about the Green Lanterns. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that one works.
It's like that's like really a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a reach. Yeah, it's a reach. And the thing about it is that I get wanting to have an opportunity to explore the Green Lanterns more. And to do it with a television series would be a really good way to do it rather than waiting for a series of films. I see nothing wrong with that. But my two issues are, one, you're turning it into something that even in the comics it's not. You know, they're doing the whole intergalactic cops thing, but they're taking it to an extreme. And you've got Damon Lindelof and Tom King as part of the trio of people that are running this show.
I don't like Lindelof, so
Tom King either. Tom King has easily made it now on my.
I don't know
list.
much about him.
Tom King as a
I don't
writer
know much about him.
Is the guy who's basically like the comic book version of J.J. Abrams. And
okay, then he's definitely garbage.
Because he's a really good writer, but everything he does is the exact same thing. He deconstructs all the characters. Every comic book he's ever done, it's about deconstructing the character and taking it a different way than what you would normally see. For me personally, as a Green Lantern fan, that's not really what I want to see, because the Green Lantern idea, at least when it was revived in the 1950s and rebooted, it's a combination of Star Wars and superheroes is really what it is. And it should be something that is...
Well, look, one thing I'm going to point out, let's get some things out of the way.
Yeah.
I appreciate the fact that they are not fucking race swapping Green Lantern, because that's so tiresome.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
They actually got a black character and are casting a black guy in it, rather than taking a white character and going, we have too many white people, we need to change that. It's like, no, just create new colored people, you motherfuckers. Be like the real world. But look, what you're saying is it's in the wrong hands, so clearly it's not going to be done well. Well, unless they accidentally run into a situation where they fucking do something right by accident, that's really hard to believe will ever happen.
It's going to be done for the wrong people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody's going to fucking watch it. And by the way, Wolverine 66, I'm not excited about that, because he damaged that movie. The what is it? The something of ungentlemanly warfare.
Yeah.
Alan Ritchie, or whatever his fucking name is, his stupid tirades, he's got mental problems. And in the middle of promoting a fucking movie, he goes into absolute death spiral, and took the movie down with him. And now he's lost his fan base.
Wasn't it
Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. And now
good movie.
They've greenlit another season of the show, but people aren't going to fucking forget his fucking tirades about anti-conservatives, anti-people who like Trump, anti-whatever fucking isn't fucking left of the line. And that turns people off. We don't hate him. We just, like, why do I want to fucking support something that hates me? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why actors should keep their politics to their fucking
It was
self
unfortunate
when it comes to promoting. What's that? Heath?
Yes. They should. Ultimately,
it had the potential of being a hit,
you can
because
vote for
everyone wanted to see it.
Want.
Oh, hold on. I'll be back, guys.
Well, the other thing is that also... Oh, okay. That also leads me into the other thing that makes me disappointed about the direction of the Lantern series, which is really three things. But the second thing, as I pointed out earlier, is the obvious difference in ages between the characters. They did that on purpose. While you had a lot of other actors considered, one of them being Josh Brolin for the role of Hal Jordan, the only reason why they casted the way that they did was to make it easier to get rid of that character in some form or fashion later on. In other words, if you had hired two actors that were close to the same age, you couldn't have easily have done that. They wanted to make it pretty clear that for James Gunn's version of the DC universe, that John Stewart was going to be the only Lantern they had, which is unfortunate, because in doing what they have done, they have completely cut out decades of stories for both Hal Jordan and John Stewart. So they are rewriting John Stewart's character in that sense. The other thing is, one of the other things that I figured out is that I think part of the reason why they wanted to do this with Hal Jordan and making the character so much older is because of his politics. Hal Jordan was one of the first openly conservative characters in comics. And he for all of the stuff that he was, when that was revealed during Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams's run, it wasn't something that was detrimental to the comic. Actually, it was kind of fun. At the age when I found those stories, and I remember when those comics came out, that's one of the things that really set me up to understand that just because people have a different point of view, that doesn't necessarily mean anything other than the fact they just see things differently, which is part of the reason why you had the Green Lantern and Green Arrow team-up stories. You have these two characters that are really good characters that you've been following for years, and one day you find out that sometimes nowadays seems to be all too common. Both characters are arguing over a point, and that's when it's revealed what their politics are. And the thing is that it really, in the grand scheme of things, is not that important. In life, you're going to meet people that are going to see things differently than you. And instead of being taught to, see that person as other, or to see them as any kind of an enemy, I think ultimately what ends up happening with Hal and Ollie is they become even better friends. And for this show, Lanterns, they wanted to make it so that, I think one person had put it that they saw Hal Jordan as being the Obi-Wan to Jon Stewart's Luke, which is completely not even what their actual friendship is in the source material.
Right.
Both men are around the same age. Both men have been in the military. So they have a military background, with Hal having been in the Air Force and John having been a Marine. And to me, that's one of the things that makes both those guys so cool, and why they are two of my favorite characters overall, because I love the way that they interact. And that set me in thinking on today's episode that if I had the opportunity to go to HBO, or Warner Brothers in this case, and James Gunn, and make my case of how I would rewrite everything from the angle that they're doing it, I chose certain programs that I think would be very good at illustrating that. In my opinion, some of the best writings, if you're going to do duos on either television or on the big screen or even in streaming. And I chose, as you can see from the graphic that we had, certain shows that I think really do illustrate that. And at the top of that list is a show that I think Gary and I have both talked about in the past. And that is the 60s spy series, I Spy, which had incredible chemistry. Robert Culp, who
Bill
also
Cosby, back before he was drugging women.
Yeah, and Bill Cosby. If you've never seen that show, I highly recommend it because it is very, very different. In fact, I think the first 4 to 5 episodes are on YouTube. So as soon as you're done watching this show, you can at least watch the pilot episode and check it out. But the chemistry that Robert Culp and Bill Cosby had on that show, to me, set the basic standard of what you could do with that. And again, Robert Culp really is the co-creator of that series, even though the original idea was to have Bill Cosby's character be,
and he refused to do the show without Bill Cosby too.
That's right. He wanted Bill Cosby's character to be equal on the show with him, and it changed the show. Because now you had these two guys that were really good friends, and the banter that they have. To me, in television, there is still no other pairing that had the same kind of chemistry and banter that those two had. I mean, it's Sheldon Leonard did a fantastic job bringing that show to everyone, but without Robert Culp standing up for what he believed at that time and showing America that a black man can be a cool character on a spy show,
a hero.
I don't think really, a hero, and that you could have two guys who racially are different, but who are still just both cool. And that's the other thing; they were both cool guys. It wasn't like, the white guy gets to be the cool one and the black guy gets to clean up the mess. They were both just really, really cool, really fun, really slick. And both of them got storylines where sometimes Robert Culp would get the girl, sometimes Bill Cosby would get the girl. It had a lot of elements that were really missing from the movie version with Eddie Murphy. That was just a huge miss. That
movie was just a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know how Owen Wilson even recovered from that, but he did.
Yeah, he did. He ended up doing Starsky and Hutch, which I think was a little closer to his wheelhouse there. I just think,
but I didn't like that movie either because they didn't treat the source material with the respect and regard that it deserved.
True. That is correct. Another television series that I decided to that I thought should be considered is another spy series, and that was The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Again, you have two characters that are very opposite of one another. One's an American, one's Russian. If you saw the movie, you could see the potential in having something like that. And I still think they should have done another one of those Uncle films. I think I would have loved to have seen more of Henry Cavill playing Napoleon Solo.
The film made money. It's not like it tanked completely.
Yeah.
The problem was Armie Hammer. Because I believe they knew back then there was a problem with him.
Excuse me.
Hi, Kylock. Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Yeah, the only thing good about that movie was the clip of what's his name, the comedian actor who's kind of an asshole, saying, do it. That was it. Yeah, Owen Wilson
even having
away from parodies.
Even having Snoop Dogg in there as Huggy Bear couldn't save the movie. So
absolutely,
but
it's bad.
The Man from U.N.C.L.E. television series, though, it was slick. It was cool. It was for a show born in the aftermath of the whole Bond renaissance of the 60s, this show, I think, was just the epitome, again, of coolness. You had two great actors portraying these two characters, working for an organization where they get to go out and just kick butt and take names. And sometimes the other thing about The Man from U.N.C.L.E. that really kind of separates it from a lot of shows of this type is that as the show got more popular, they were able to have episodes where you either had Napoleon Solo in the adventure by himself, or even Ilya Kuryakin by himself for an episode, which was kind of
okay. Hold on, Wolverine. I got to address this. Do
Okay.
you understand what the word bomb means? I love you, dude, but you don't understand what the word bomb means. Okay, a bomb means that it doesn't make back its initial budget. That's a bomb. Okay, tanking is what you're talking about. It tanked, but it still made all of its money back after video on demand and rentals, etc.
It just didn't make much.
So they turned a profit with that film, but it didn't guarantee a sequel. They needed something that was more sure-footed, and that's the problem. It didn't bomb, it tanked. Two different things. So I see people using the word bomb, and it's incorrect. Yeah, be careful of what words you use with me, because I know what they mean.
Yeah, he does.
It tanked, it didn't bomb. Bombing means it denotes that it didn't make back its initial budget. Like what that Charlie's Angel movie was bombed.
Yeah, the most recent one.
And what's the other recent one that just came out recently that just Joker?
Oh God,
that is a bomb.
Let me explain something. Let me explain something, because Gary and I talked about this earlier, and I think it bears repeating that you and I both called what this movie would do, because the reason for bringing this movie to fruition had nothing to do with anything other than greed, but also trying to cover the butts of the people who were running Warner Brothers at that time.
They fucked up, and they didn't want the money from it because they didn't think it was going to make anything. These are the same kinds of fucking idiots that gave George Lucas merchandising rights from Fox. It's the same kind of stupidity.
And they thought that Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey would make more money than Joker did. And it turned out to be the reverse. And to cover up their mistake.
Point out the budget difference.
Joker. Oh, God. Joker's budget was around 70 to 75 million, and it made $1 billion. Versus Wonder Woman 84, that I think had a budget of 150 million, if I remember correctly. I'd have to look that up.
And it was basically a remake of a Martin Scorsese film.
Yeah, Joker was, yeah.
Comedian one. Yeah. And I mean, there's a great meme out there that shows scenes that were exactly reshot versions of the other film, where De Niro's character is now the Joker, and the Jerry Lewis character is the De Niro character.
Yeah.
And it's just fucking like so unoriginal, but it was good.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello.
Joker. Okay. Wonder Woman 84 had a budget of $200 million. And that's not counting advertising. Okay. So they spent more money on the sequel.
That's where they lose money.
Yeah.
You have to shoot for under 75. In fact, I've always said 50 million. Now, this is going back to how we shot films before the 90s. with budgets. Now, if you look at inflation, devaluation of the dollar, all of that, Blade Runner, by today's or by then standards, was considered an indie film the way it was shot.
Mhm.
But it was shot for $18 million. I think that budget may have gone up to 22 at some point. Now, you just jump forward to today, you're looking at a budget of, for that kind of film, would be about 44 to 60 million. So why isn't it? Based on value of the dollar, inflation, and all of that, should be between 40 and 60 million. Why are the budgets almost double that to triple that? Why? Why? I'll give you one reason, primarily. Unions. Unions hurt films. I'm not a big fan of unions. The other thing that hurts, it's the people above the line taking too much fucking money. Greed.
Yeah.
You and I saw that in our lifetime when we were young. We started seeing Harrison Ford getting $20 million of film. And then you start getting all these names. And then you get stupid people in Hollywood go, well, I'm a woman. Why am I not making as much as Harrison Ford on this film? Are you really asking that question? How many seats does your name put in the fucking, how many asses in the seats does your name bring?
Yeah.
That's what you're asked, but they don't think about that.
Wonder Woman, the first film, was made for a budget of $149 million. The film made $824 million worldwide. So there you go. And don't get me started on the Birds of Prey film. That film.
Don't even get me started.
Even get me started. I could do that.
Even Anna does it now. Don't even get me started. I'm telling you, Molly Shannon, she fucking got into our heads.
I know.
It sticks in my head.
So the thing that really, I think, really must be gone over is that there are fans of Green Lantern. There are a lot of fans of Green Lantern. There are a lot of people who are disappointed by the Ryan Reynolds movie. But let me at least just say this. I know Ryan Reynolds was very disappointed in what that film did. But let me at least just say this. Ryan was never the problem. In fact, the movie did do some really good things. Mark Strong, in my opinion, is still probably the best actor for Sinestro. I mean, the makeup job they did with him, he's Sinestro, as far as I was concerned.
Like the comic character.
Yeah. All of the non-Earth stuff is fantastic in that movie. The story lives and breathes. It's like it literally came out of the comic book when you do all of the Oa scenes. It's all the stuff on Earth that they didn't get right. And I think a lot of fans, not just fans, but people that weren't even fans of the comic, realize that because it's all flat. It's all just, you don't care about a lot of these people. And one of the characters that should have been bigger than what they were, which is Taika Waititi's character, he's barely in the film, but if in the original comics, he's really Hal Jordan's good friend and kind of sort of sidekick. And they reduced his role to like 2 scenes. Barely 2 scenes. And so that movie has problems. And again, I know I've said it before, but I'm going to keep saying it. You can't work on a movie like that and write a film like that, and then when it bombs, just go, oh, I had nothing to do with it. I mean, I barely touched the script. Look, you worked on it. Okay? Greg Berlanti and his good buddy both wrote for that film. They wrote a version of that script. The one saving grace for this television series, Lanterns, is that Berlanti isn't really in charge of this. You know, I still will give him hell about his work on TV. I'm glad that he was such a DC fan that he could create different things.
Oh, he's a liar. You know it as well as I do that Greg Berlanti is not a fucking fan. By the way, before we forget, we do have to do this.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
On top of that, talking about Hollywood.
You know the problem with Hollywood is they make shit. Unbelievable, unremarkable shit.
There you go.
Good movie. Made even better by the fact that Halle Berry is topless in it. I could watch that a lot. I could watch that.
That one when she that movie with Sling Blade actor, I forgot his name right now. Where they fuck. Oh my god. I was like, holy
You're
shit.
right.
Holy
Monsters
shit.
Ball.
Holy shit. Monsters Ball. That's
Monsters
right.
Ball. Yeah, it's just like, wow. He gets Angelina Jolie and Halle Berry. What the hell?
Now, I'm going to say Halle Berry naked. Every guy in the room goes, yeah, what? What's going on? Then I say Whoopi Goldberg naked, and this is what happens. There you go.
So inappropriate sometimes.
I know I'm inappropriate. Hey, I'm going to bounce off here, but we wanted to stop in to say hi to you guys. And so Anna can say hi.
Thanks for dropping in, guys.
You bet, man.
Wow.
Hey, keep at it, man. Keep tearing them apart and correcting people when they say the wrong word for things. It's just I love everybody. You know, I love Wolverine. I love all those guys. But nothing annoys guys like you and me than when somebody uses the wrong word for something. And people, there's a difference between tanking. Tanking means it runs out of gas. Okay? It just didn't have the gas to go the rest of the way. Bombing is something that you don't fucking want. And that's what Joker, whatever the fuck it was, I forgot the name of this fucking film. Joker 2.
Folie à Deux.
Yeah, Folie à Deux, which is two people insane sharing their mental illness. And I thought potentially when you and I first started talking about it, I'm like, this sounds like it could be interesting. But then the minute I heard she wasn't his therapist, I'm like, I'm out.
You know what, you guys? We had a couple of albums, the soundtrack drop in for pickup at my job.
Yeah.
When it came out. And I think we had 12 or so. 2 were picked up. All the rest went into cancellation.
Yeah, nobody's buying them. Nobody wanted that fucking album. That movie is going down as one of the biggest fucking turds. And what's sad, because I watched it, by the way, I've seen it, and they acted their fucking hearts out in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
The cast did their best. And I feel bad for them. Doesn't help when the movie's crap. The idea was a bad idea. Now, I'm going to tell you something, Michael. Michael, you listen to me, Michael.
He says Michael, it's serious.
I'm calling you Mike now. I'm calling you Michael. Lady Gaga is very talented. I don't like her on a personal level. I just don't. I think she's kind of an asshole, an arrogant prima donna. But she is gifted, and not just as a singer. I mean, oh my God, her rendition of the national anthem is fucking goosebump causing.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, she can actually act. She's really good in this movie. The problem is the movie is bad. The movie is terrible. And the original idea for the ending of the first film was that the reason there's blood on the floor was because he got stabbed. And he cut his face, carved his lips into a smile. And they were given the no-go on that because it was too close to Heath Ledger. and his Joker. So it got rejected, and that's why you don't get a reason why that blood is on the floor. You're left to, did he kill somebody? Did he? And so they threw that into this film.
Wow.
And I put that right up there with killing Han Solo.
Don't mind that Han Solo dies. It's just how you decide to write it in there. He's a hero. He's always gonna be a hero to a generation of fans.
Have him go out as a fucking hero.
That's
Don't
right.
fucking just have him die a stupid death where he's disarmed. They're like, oh, it's like Obi-Wan. No, Obi-Wan went out fighting. He turned off the sword because he knew that he was going to transition. He was going to become a Force ghost. I will become more powerful than, you can imagine,
And even when Chewbacca died, Chewbacca went out like top of the world, ma.
Wait, when did Chewbacca die?
They wrote it in. It's one of the novels that they wrote that George Lucas had to approve of. They threw an entire planet at Chewbacca in order to off him. So,
actually, it was a moon.
Oh, I'm sorry, a moon.
Still giant.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
If you have to kill off
It's too big for a space station.
Make it good. I get annoyed when they it's a character's death, especially when it's a beloved character. Give them a good death.
Oh,
by the way,
Chewbacca's
Wolverine,
awesome.
just so you know, I didn't pay to see it. I got to see a TS, what do they call that, where they have good audio? I saw a TS copy from Russia. And it wasn't bad. It was pretty clear, good HD. I mean, it's not perfect, but it was a really good HD copy. And I watched it just so I could say I watched it and have somebody go, well, you should have seen it. And it's like, I have seen it, and it's crap. It's a terrible film. Oh my God. What acted his fucking heart out. And so did
he did.
She was told what to do, and she did exactly what to do because she is a femme fatale in that. She's not good for him. She's the reason what happens at the end. And the whole, I thought, what I thought was going to be really neat is if they're going to put musical elements in it, it'd be kind of cool if it's that shared insanity where there are moments where she's treating him and they go into a dance. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been smart. That would have been shrewd. That would have been clever. But no, we got a guy that doesn't know how to write anything original. Makes a movie that's not original, and it becomes a hit.
I think it's
The first Joker, and they got all the money because Warner was fucking run by idiots. Said, "Oh, that movie will never make any money," and then it made the most money an independent produced film ever made, a low budget independent film.
Yep. Again, so you spend $75 million and you get over $1 billion. That is a heck of a return. I mean,
exactly. And by the way, I want to point out, it's not that I hate musicals. I just don't think they work logically anymore.
Yeah.
The old movies is one thing, but there is a musical that came out in my lifetime that I thought was fucking brilliant, but it tanked, which is Pennies from Heaven with Steve Martin, Bernadette Peters.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a true musical. Every single musical scene in that film is a fantasy in the middle of the Depression. And it's a dark fucking movie. It has a dark fucking ending.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie blew me away. And it's still one of my favorite movies. And I couldn't believe Steve Martin was so good in it. He's not playing for laughs. Yeah. He's acting. And Bernadette was, oh God, she's just awesome. But if you've never seen Pennies from Heaven, go see it. Go find a copy of it. Watch it. Michael, I'm talking to you, Michael. Get a copy of Pennies from Heaven, because that's what this movie could have been.
Yeah.
If they'd had a decent fucking writer. That's right, Michael.
Yeah.
I love you, buddy.
We need you on the panel more, dude.
There you go, Shinatsky. They should have done Silence of the Lambs. If he can't make something original, steal it. That's what he did with the first movie. Fucking do it with the second one. Make Silence of the Lambs and add musical motifs to it. There you go. I got to tell you, Wolverine, I actually do like that movie, Repo the Genetic Opera. And it's, to me, it's just weird enough
Mm-hmm.
that the musical aspect of it works. Now, I don't know about you, Keith, but I liked the ELO musical, Xanadu.
Oh, yeah, Xanadu. Yeah,
by Gene
good.
Kelly.
Yeah.
It suffered from editing, is its biggest problem. I always felt that if they'd had a better editor, that film would have done better.
I still think if somebody were to attempt to remake that, I think you could do very well.
Keeping the soundtrack, exactly. Keeping the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Get new singers, but keep the soundtrack. In fact, he's still alive. He could do the music.
You wouldn't even have to spend more than $70 million on it. There is no reason to remake Xanadu.
You always say 70. I always say 50.
I think 70 would be the tail end. I mean, that would be the absolute limit. I couldn't justify
Absolute
over $70
most
million.
expensive. That should be the most that a film should cost.
Yeah,
75.
because
if it goes to 100 million, it's already gone over budget, in my opinion.
Because you're talking about the muses of the Greek muses, and you're also talking about doing certain scenes set during World War II. So it's really just a lot of costuming if you do it right. But you shouldn't be spending over $70 million. I couldn't justify that, so I think
over again, the more money they have, the lazier they get.
it is.
Smaller
You're right,
budgets,
Anima.
more creativity.
That's right.
Go all the way back to the original version of it's a Charlton Heston film. It's a Western, and then Sam Peckinpah took over making it. But originally, it was the great independent filmmaker from that period that it brought us people like James Cameron.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I'm talking about? Who am I talking about?
That's I see his face. It's
Roger
Corman.
There you go. Roger Corman. Roger Corman was brought in on that film. It was going to be his first major studio film, and immediately committed self-deletion as the director because he started rejecting equipment and things that he said we don't need because he felt it increased the budget and it didn't need to be. And he started trying to bring the budget down, and that freaked the studio out.
Yeah.
Because in their mind, the only way to make a good film is to throw money at it.
Wow.
And so they fired Roger Corman, who I think would have delivered a perfect film, and brought in Sam Peckinpah. I still love the film. But I've always wanted to see what Roger Corman's version would have been.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So we're going to get the fuck out of here. Have a good show, guys.
Thank
you
very
guys later.
much. Bye,
Thank
Gary.
you, buddy.
Bye, Anima.
Bye, Martin. Are you here? Yeah, okay. You were so because you are more of part of our show, and you're so quiet with Keith. And by the way, he's got a lot of shit to say.
Oh yeah,
always got a good opinion.
Oh yeah.
Even though I fuck with him about it, he really has a good opinion on things.
You don't understand it, but
no, I understand him. I'm skeezing about what? Okay. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll talk to you later, man. And by the way, Keith, Scott's supposed to get a hold of you about getting together this weekend.
Yeah, I got the text
before she
message,
leaves.
and I sent him a message back.
Would you tell him? What'd you tell him?
I told him, yeah.
Fuck no.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like me.
I don't want to hang out with that cracker motherfucker. He's always making black jokes. It pisses me off.
Man. You're gonna get me in so much trouble.
I know. Anyway, I love you, buddy. Martin, I'll see you later, man. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, you want to say bye? Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
I gotta push 3 fucking buttons to leave. Are you serious?
Do it.
Stream it. Do it. Do it.
Oh, wow. It's always great seeing those guys. Let's see. I was talking about the Man from U.N.C.L.E. television series.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is another good example of a direction they could go in having 2 characters that could easily lead the show and having your 2 leads be close in age. Personally, I think that Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a really good example of what a Green Lantern television series should be. Really good example of that. The writing, the attitude of the characters, both of whom work for the same organization, but you have 2 characters that really have 2 different approaches to how they solve problems. And for this kind of series, yeah, that's very appropriate. It's definitely something that you could have some fun with. Another series that I think would be very effective in I think would be the Avengers. The original Avengers 60 series. I think for that one, what you had was a show where you had the lead, or in this case, the co-lead, who eventually became the lead of the show, and he had different co-stars for the life of the show. So you had a lead character in season 1, and who was the Doctor, and you had the agent, John Steed, who was the co-lead for the show. By the time you got to seasons 2 and beyond, John Steed had become the lead, and you were pairing him with just different ladies. And so Honor Blackman as Kathy Gale started, kind of sort of taking over from Dr. David Keel. And then the always incredible Dame Diana Rigg as Emma Peel. And then as the show kind of got popular, that really started the international popularity of the series going into season 3. I think that was season 3. And of course, eventually to be replaced by Tara King, as played by Linda Thorson. But the show had a lot of it was a very original series. Lots of minimalism in the latter seasons, especially by the time Emma Peel as a character joined the show, which I always found to be to the show's advantage in having some original. It gave it an original look and a very original feel. But the characters were very playful. They knew how to play off of one another, and they knew how to be very playful in the scenes, even in certain scenes that were dangerous. I think for Lanterns, you don't always have to be so serious with the plots. You could often have episodes where you can get a little silly or completely go a different direction. The thing about Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart that has to be understood is that it isn't just the fact that you have Hal and John, and the fact that John would eventually take Hal's ring in the comics. It's the fact that they both are connected, not just in being Green Lanterns, but in their story. They are connected by tragedy in a way. And what I mean is, one of the things they did get right in the movie Green Lantern, starring Ryan Reynolds, is the fact that Sinestro, who was played by Mark Strong, would eventually come to dislike and even hate Hal Jordan. That hate would lead him to become an enemy of the very group that he was a part of originally. And in the course of becoming this villain who would go from being one of the great Green Lanterns to being someone who opposed the Green Lantern Corps, it cost the life of Jon Stewart's wife. So Stewart hates Sinestro. I mean, with a capital H. There is no coming back from that as far as Jon Stewart is concerned. Unfortunately, when it came time to adapt some of these characters, especially Jon Stewart in the Justice League animated series, they decided to just go ahead and change that entire storyline. In fact, the entire Justice League animated series is really an alternate universe version of the DC universe. You're dealing with characters that are completely different or out of place than what the original characters who first found the Justice League, and second of all, would go on to become some of its greatest members. Hal Jordan's a founding member of the Justice League, along with Barry Allen. Hawkman was not originally a founding member. Hawkgirl, I don't even think officially joined the Justice League. She was there because Hawkman was a part of it. I don't think she really trusted the League. So, you know, there were differences for that cartoon versus what was actually done in the comics. And I get it again. You can't do everything. But what I'm talking about isn't really doing everything. It's at least getting the characters on the right setting, you know, on the right footing to be able to be recognizable when you go out and read the comics. Kyle Chandler is an accomplished actor who's basically, he's been on my radar since his television series Homefront in the 80s. Of course, you got people that know him from Friday Night Lights. But even before he did that show, he did Morning Edition, I think it was, for CBS, about the guy who goes out to stop things from happening based on receiving a newspaper every morning that has a particular headline that is actually from the future. Real Wade Nation gaming clips, I should say. Hello. Wolverine 626 says, I don't remember much about the Avengers film adaptation, but I remember it being bizarre. It wasn't just bizarre, it was bad. You know, and the unfortunate thing is they had Sean Connery in it. You know, that should have been. Say what?
But you could see Uma in a catsuit at least.
Well, here's the thing. If you turn down the sound while watching that movie, it kind of is reminiscent of the television series in that respect. But it's once you start paying attention to the script and the way they plotted it, the Avengers movie turns into C-rap pretty quickly. Yeah.
I have very, very vague memories about the show. I saw it as a little kid, and being in Venezuela, you cannot assure you are going to see the whole show or
Yeah.
in the correct order.
Yeah.
But I remember that the movie, in fact, and I love all the actors in the movie, but the movie, I went to see the movie because the nostalgia factor and shit. But I think the movie damaged my appreciation for the show.
Really?
Yeah, because I was I didn't have the clearest memories about the show. A show that I only saw once while being little, and then the movie came out. I said, "Oh, I remember that. I'm going to see the movie." Oh, fuck me! And then I said, "Do you want to watch the show now?" No, let me be. I should really see the show.
Well, here's the thing. It was years before I even found out, because for a lot of people, especially here in America, we didn't know about the Avengers series. We didn't actually watch it until the show had been on the air for a while. So for a lot of Americans, they never even really got a chance to see what the show looked like until after it had been on for about 3 or 4 seasons. And most people don't even know that there are seasons that there were episodes prior to what they understood, that there were cast members and characters that came before John Steed and Emma Peel. You know, that's the equivalent of having never seen like seasons 1 and 2 of Star Trek. You only saw season 3.
Or Babylon 5.
Or even Babylon 5, having never seen the first 2 seasons of Babylon 5, and you start with season 3. You know, let's see. Wolverine 626. Early edition was the name of the show, not morning edition. That's a different thing. You're right, early edition, which ran for quite a while. Kyle Chandler, though, he's always, you know, been a very good actor. I've always liked him. Kyle Chandler was in Peter Jackson's King Kong, and more recently he was also
in Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah. Well, he did 2 of the Warner Brothers Godzilla films. And he was very good in those too. If I had to pick a character that Kyle Chandler, just given how he looks, Kyle Chandler would have been better as Morgan Edge in the Superman movie. He looks like Morgan Edge. You give him a cigar, he looks exactly like Morgan Edge. That one I will never ever understand that, how somebody can read a comic book or whatever and look right at a particular character and just go a completely different direction. You know, I never understood that. In fact, I'll tell you another role that he could have. Kyle Chandler could easily be Maxwell Lord. Again, Pedro Pascal is an actor who I could really help Pedro if he were to hire me to be his agent. I could help cast him in stuff that he would be perfect for. Wonder Woman 84, he was not perfect for. He didn't even look like Maxwell Lord. They went a whole different direction with that character. Maxwell Lord, if you were to Google Maxwell Lord DC Comics, what comes up when you Google that is completely different than what Pedro Pascal was playing. I don't blame him because he's just an actor. You know, he was just doing what he was paid to do. Let's see. Wolverine 626 says Uma Thurman wore a catsuit type outfit in Batman and Robin. It didn't help that movie either. Yeah. I'll tell you this much. You want to know really what the biggest disappointment for the Avengers movie was for me? Is the fact that they didn't decide they had to recast those characters because the actors who played those parts were way too old to be in the movie. Okay. What I was disappointed in was I was hoping that they would just have all of the original characters, all of the Avengers in the movie, which in my opinion would have made more sense. Instead of having just John, Steed, and Emma Peel, I would have started with John, Steed, and Dr. Keel, and just run through that entire storyline and team Steed up with all of his female sidekicks. That would have made more sense. But they weren't listening to me at that time. I don't even think they're listening to me now. So, let's see. Wolverine 626 says the first season of Mission Impossible, different leader, of course, completely different character. Let's see. Wolverine 626. Kyle Chandler would have been a good Hal Jordan 30 years ago. That is correct. 30 years ago, he would have been a perfect Hal Jordan. But at his current age, there's only one reason why they're hiring for that. That's to give him a big death scene. It's the exact same plan that Marvel has for Peter Parker. They cannot wait to bring in Miles Morales. They want to kill Peter Parker so that they can bring in Miles Morales, which is unfortunate. I've often said, why does a character have to die to make another character, or to job for another character to make that other character better? You don't have to do that. Just write better. And it's the same thing for this. There's no reason to make Hal Jordan a man in his early 60s. They could have gone out and gotten a more age-appropriate actor who I think would have been fantastic. And in my opinion, it's Glenn Powell from Top Gun Maverick and Twisters.
Yeah, but they don't want to use Hal. They want to phase out Hal.
They want to phase him out. Yeah, I know. But Glenn Powell would have been perfect as Hal Jordan. Perfect. He's got the perfect look. He's got the perfect attitude, especially when he's in the movie Top Gun. I mean, that's Hal. Hal is a hero. John is a leader. He's a force. He's a guy who does not give up. But also he's the one human Green Lantern who you could tell actually read the instructions for how to read the ring. Guy Gardner, Hal Jordan, really all the other Earth Green Lanterns act like they've never read the book. They act like they've never read the book on how to do this. And only John seems like the guy who, the ring can do this. He's good at it. He's really good at it. What I like about Jon Stewart is that he's annoyed a little by Batman. He's not intimidated. He's a little annoyed. because I think John believes that the Justice League should be a group for people with actual powers who can actually do something. And I don't believe he believes that Batman can do hardly anything not having powers. Personally, I believe that
that's debatable.
It is debatable.
I think John may be a little wrong on that.
A little wrong? Yeah, I think he's a little jealous. Because I said it. I think he's a little jealous because that's who Batman actually is. He's a guy in a suit. He don't need a ring. You know, I mean, if you go up against Darkseid and even Darkseid respects you, and all you got is a belt filled with tricks and smoke bombs and other things.
And a bad attitude.
and a little bit of an attitude. And you're a guy with a ring that can pretty much do whatever your mind can conceive and give that thing strength and weight by the power of your will to give it that. Yeah. Of course, in the comics, we already know Batman with a lantern ring makes him a bigger badass than even Jon Stewart. You know, because Batman's nothing but will. Yes, you're right. Batman is Batman. That's exactly what it is. You know, as proven in the comics, when given an opportunity to touch the lasso of truth and
yes,
tell who they are, you know, Wonder Woman is my name is Diana. Superman's my name is Clark / Kal-El. Batman says his name is Batman.
I saw that.
That's it. He wasn't lying. You know. But no, there are different personalities for all of the Green Lanterns. And it seems that Hollywood's being kind of lazy. They want, basically, look, I'll tell you what it is. They want to write Jon Stewart like Hal Jordan in the comics. That's what they want. They need Hal Jordan to be the old guy so they can do all of that fun stuff with Jon Stewart, which tells me that fundamentally they don't know who Jon Stewart actually is. You know, Jon Stewart, it's kind of like you know what? The best example is the Matrix films. You know, the characters in the Matrix films, specifically when you're talking Neo and Morpheus, is that Morpheus is an example of a traditional Western hero. You know, he is the guy that is committed to what he's doing. You know, he's got a plan. He's got guys to execute the plan, and he wants to go out and just kick ass, take names, and he does. Neo, as a character, is more Eastern. This is a guy that's on a different kind of path in his life. He's not there to try to, quote unquote, solve the problem using force. His idea of doing that is different. And that's exactly what you have with the Earth Green Lanterns. They're all representative of different types of ideas and different aspects of being a hero. And as I've said before on this show, if you really wanted to do a Green Lantern miniseries or even a streaming movie, instead of using True Detective, I would have used the A-Team. You have Hal, you have John, you have Guy, you have Kyle.
Oh,
That's
I don't want to be in that van.
You know, you've got Hal, who pretty much is Face. You got John, who is Hannibal. You got Guy, who's BA. And you got Kyle, who's more like Murdoch, especially after what happened to his girlfriend in the refrigerator. So, in my opinion. But him being the newbie, he's the one that you key off of in order to explain the story. But that's who these guys are. You know, different personalities, different ways of doing things. Hal's not a planner. He's a doer. He's a hero. He's Han Solo is who he is. You know?
Yes, Wolverine 66.
Yeah, Guy Gardner is definitely Murdoch. But he's got a bad attitude like B.A. Baracus. I mean, Guy is the person who's always, and it doesn't matter the situation. Guy is Guy, no matter where he is. He does not change for anybody, which explains the one punch. And if you are a Justice League fan, by way of Keith Geffen, when he was doing Justice League, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you run your mouth, eventually, you're going to get yours. And I at least have to give Guy that. He never backed down. He not for 1 second. He never backed down. But he missed an entire issue of a comic because he was knocked the F out. Oh, it's Mike Kojima's. Hello. If you know what I'm talking about, the one punch, you know, if you know, you know. Because dang. But again, I got to give it to Guy. He never backed down. He never, ever, ever backed down. And that's at least what I got to say about John. John never presses it too hard. Because I think deep down, every lantern knows about the one punch. And dang. Wolverine 66. Batman, Chuck Norris punched Guy Gardner, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but it wasn't no Chuck Norris. He just knocked him the F out. For several issues, Guy had been given Batman attitude. You know, I mean, if you've got the Justice League and Batman says, well, I'll be the leader of this new version of the league, and all you're going to do is give him attitude, you don't even have powers, I could take you on, I don't even need a ring, and Batman goes, let's go. Guy takes off his ring, tosses it to the Flash, turns around, puts his fist up, and you see in the background Flash look at the ring, tosses it over his shoulder. And ding, ding. Next thing you know, Batman with just a well-placed uppercut. And that's all she wrote. Guy hit the floor. And he was knocked out. And that lasted, let's see, I was towards the end of one issue. And then for an entire issue, they had an adventure at the Justice League headquarters. They got invaded. It was an alien invasion. And at the end of the book, the alien invasion had been thwarted. The bad guys had been taken care of. Guy wakes up, I think, in the beginning of the next issue after that. He had been knocked out that long. And Black Canary, who had been getting harassed by a guy, had gone out on a mission. She comes back, and Flash had to tell her, it's like, you missed it. You missed it. One punch. And Black Canary had to hear it that she had missed Guy Gardner getting knocked the F out. And she couldn't believe it. It's like, and I missed it. I missed it. I can't believe I missed it. So, you know, it is Keith Geffen is the man. You know, and Keith Geffen also is a rather nice man, because again, I'm going to say it. I'm just saying the numbers are in Keith Geffen's side. Numbers don't lie. Keith Geffen is the creator of the character Ambush Bug. And Keith Geffen and DC Comics, in my opinion, have a pretty decent legal case against Marvel Comics if they wanted to pursue something because of the whole Deadpool thing. Because Ambush Bug was really the character that broke the fourth wall and talked to the audience in the middle of doing comics with all the other DC characters. The only difference was he wasn't there trying to kill everybody. He was a nuisance. I don't think he was immortal, but he was a nuisance. And he could show up in any book and just do what he does, being funny, weird, all that stuff. And just all the stuff that you see Ryan Reynolds do, it's just basically, instead of wearing this red suit where he gets to kill people, he's wearing a green suit where he just gets to be very annoying without killing anybody. So, anyway, let's get back to this. Oh, yeah, you're right, Monkey Jeebus. Keith Geffen did create Lobo. Let's see. Now, the other series that I think would be most effective in teaching us how to do this better, or teaching them how to do this better in writing Lanterns, is a science fiction series that Fox had for one season called Almost Human.
Oh,
Kind of like, yeah.
Dude, how I love the show.
It's a great show.
And I hate that they canceled it.
It was a
Fox
great show.
Always canceling the good stuff.
It's Carl Urban on a weekly television show, teamed up with Michael Ealy. And it is very well done. And just like with Firefly, Fox, a lot of us fans who watched Almost Human didn't even realize this until towards the end of the run of the show in the first season, when we realized that Fox had been showing us episodes out of order, because there's this secondary story that it was hard to make out in the first couple of episodes because, you know, they were showing them out of order. And it wasn't until they did this one episode and you realize that Fox had been showing the entire series out of order, because they had a major piece to this other case that in that episode that should have ran towards the beginning of the season. You know, I mean, it's one of the reasons why the show was quote unquote hard to watch, because you're showing all the episodes out of order. So it's I don't know, you know, it's a really, really well done show. And I think it's a good example of how to truly write characters like this. Almost Human which is very reminiscent of a Gene Roddenberry television show that also made my list. Let's see, Almost Human was from 2013. So Gene Roddenberry had a series called The Quester Tapes. And that was from 1974. And the basic premise of the Quester tapes helps to explain where the character of Data came from that would be used on Star Trek The Next Generation in 1987. But basically, the premise of the Quester tapes is it's about an android who comes online and who finds out that he's part of a long lineage of different androids that have been on planet Earth for years. And he gets teamed up with a human who will help him explore his who he is, what he's capable of, and how to help humans be better, while also trying to find, in a sense, his own humanity and his place in this world. The lifespan of the androids, of each android, is, I think, just above the normal human lifespan. I think these androids can go, if I remember correctly, I think each one is about 100 years, give or take, maybe a little more. But it was Robert Foxworth as Quester and Mike Farrell pre-MASH. This was the TV series that he was working on prior to getting hired to be on MASH. And you can buy it on Blu-ray. Yep. But it was a nice team up there. It's kind of what they ended up doing for Almost Human. Let's see. Monkey Jeebus asked, did Alien start the human-like android thing with Blade Runner? No. In Blade Runner, yeah, humans actually invented those. Now, with Quester tapes, I think aliens were responsible for these androids. And man, it's been a long time since I've seen this. But again, this is one of many made-for-TV movies and or series that Gene Roddenberry was trying for between 1970 and 1977. Because after 77, after his last attempt, I think he went full in on working on the Star Trek movie, and then just stayed on Star Trek after that until he passed. But in fact, that final movie itself technically is on the list, but let's see. That was Gene Roddenberry did a kind of pre-X-Files type of television series. And it starred Robert Culp. And That one was called Spectre. And it's a supernatural series that kind of combines, X-Files and Night Stalker, but it's supernatural instead of alien. So for those of you interested, in fact, Gary and I should just go ahead and do a whole show about all of the Gene Roddenberry pilots, because that would be, hey, it's Mifsto Movie Reviews. Morning to you.
Red man. What do we have here?
Wolverine 66 says, I'm surprised Majel Barrett didn't readapt the Quester tapes like she did with the Dylan Hunt character, which became Andromeda. Well, that's the thing. According to Rod, Gene Roddenberry's son, there's there is an unfortunate situation with a lot of that stuff. The adaptation of a lot of Gene Roddenberry's work. I don't remember if it was with the producers of Andromeda or for the other television series. But there is a oh geez. Rod was saying that there was a situation that I think was kind of it wasn't the best, and ultimately Rod said that he and Earth Final Conflict, that's the one. It's one of the two shows. It became a situation where Rod and his family were not very happy with what ended up happening with that show, and they were looking at legal action being taken. So, but I can't remember which show it was. It's one of the two. But I think having that happen kind of soured his family on any future dealings like that. Of course, now it looks like what has happened with Star Trek has put his family on course to reaching that same conclusion. Hopefully you guys are still keeping up with the Roddenberry Project on YouTube. Okay, for those who don't know, there is an ongoing project that you can follow on YouTube. Every so often, videos and interviews are released related to the Roddenberry Project. And Gary and I think even Martin, you may have checked out a few of these videos, but very well done stuff. Although, as I said, when I first found out, there's going to come a point where they're going to have to make a decision as to where the cutoff is going to have to be. Because as of right now, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Is that where the 777667 video came? Yeah. But it's related to the television show, the movies, and one particular comic book that you'll have to go and find, called Star Trek Early Voyages. And it has to do with part of a storyline from that comic book about what happened to the original ensign from the Enterprise, who was the captain's ensign under Pike. that's where you have the actress that looks exactly. They found a young lady who looks exactly like the actress who played that part. And if you go on to YouTube and Roddenberry Project, you'll see all these videos there. But the way I heard the story explained about how this ties in, it's really kind of cool. For those of us that like good quality stuff, at this point, it does not seem like any of the new Trek stuff will be folded into what they are currently doing. In fact, from what I am hearing, the Roddenberry family right now is in a kind of wait and see type mode where current Trek is concerned. I think any and all feelings and momentum in moving forward with any of this new stuff, starting with STD on, is in a kind of a holding pattern for right now. Now, anything before that, it's all green lights and they can do it and they're going to have fun with it. But everything outside of that, all of the new stuff for right now is in a holding pattern. Partially because of the Roddenberry family, and partially because there are new owners at Paramount who aren't exactly a big fan of losing money. I mean, of dealing with people currently running Star Trek. So, anyway, yeah. Look, as I've been saying before, I am a big Green Lantern fan. I am not that happy about the direction for this new series because there's almost no reason to take it down the road where they're taking it. There are a lot of Green Lanterns. And for me personally, I just think that if they had hired someone at least 20 years younger than Kyle Chandler, that would have been perfect for this show. Keeping your lead characters about the same age. Because in reality, yeah, that's a funny thing to say when talking about comics. But in the reality of the comics, Hal Jordan, Barry Allen, Oliver Queen, Bruce Wayne, and Clark Kent are all about the same age. And John Stewart, I think, is at least a year or two younger than Hal Jordan. He's not 30 years younger than Hal Jordan. That's a big difference there. Rewriting these characters to fit the new storyline and narrative they're doing just for this TV show, in my opinion, is not good. Because you are skipping over decades of great stories, and in reality, they're just going to do what they've done before, which is pretend that John Stewart was never married. Which is unfortunate, because that's going to rob us of not only great storylines, it's going to rob us of a really cool member of the Legion of Superheroes who may or may not be a future relative of John Stewart's. So, yeah. Again, what you saw in the Justice League cartoon, that's just a different reality. It's a different version of Earth. And so that isn't actually treated as the actual origin of the Justice League, which is very different. Aquaman, Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, aka Hal Jordan, and the Flash are the founding members of the Justice League. Superman and Batman came in later. But It you keep monkeying around with the source material, and all you're ever really going to do is just you're risking not making as much money as you had originally hoped, because not every fan of the comics is going to trust anytime that somebody else comes out with something new. They're just going to naturally assume that you're damaging the brand, or at least making changes just for the sake of making changes and not trying to adapt these characters. They go through with this, and if it comes out the way that I think it may, then yeah, I'll be wishing that Zack Snyder had gone through with this whole Jon Stewart, Hal Jordan thing for Justice League Part 2. So, actually, after Green Lantern, the animated series, Warner just never really seemed that interested in doing anything else after that, even though Green Lantern, the animated series, in my opinion, is the best Green Lantern series, period. That entire show just was awesome. It was really well done. Yeah. Test pilot. Yes. Yep. He's Han Solo, is really what he is. Hal Jordan really is Han Solo. Before there was ever a Han Solo, that's who Hal Jordan is. And I think the studio and many of the writers who aren't comic book fans keep trying to write Jon Stewart like that, and not really realizing that Jon has his own way of doing things that makes him really kind of cool. So it's not so much race swapping. They just want a Green Lantern that is a lot like Hal Jordan. They just want him black. So yes, I recommend any of these shows to watch. And then I also recommend Green Lantern, the animated series, which is a fantastic adaptation. I
have seen the future.
What did you find?
Oh, they're gonna make Hal eventually become Parallax, and John is going to kill Hal.
Yeah, well, that's the only storyline they know. I mean, you've had a lot of storylines for Superman, Batman, and other characters throughout the decades. But the Parallax storyline seems to be one that a lot of the newer writers seem to be obsessed with. And because Hal was infected with Parallax, they seem to be under the mistaken belief that Hal is a lot older than everyone else, when in actuality, the gray streak in his hair was one of the symptoms of the infection of Parallax. That's what that means. But a lot of people don't bother reading the comics to understand. So, but yeah, Hal Jordan is at the very beginning. Hal Jordan's about 29 to 30 years old. That's how old Hal Jordan actually is. So, well, I want to take time to thank Gary and Anima for stopping by. I want to thank Misto Movie News and Monkey Jeebus and Real Wade and Joe's Atmosphere, because Joe is cool like that. Emmanuel, Kylock, and Amaro, Shanatsky, the Comic Relief Crusader, Wolverine 626, D. Bud Martin, and Penny. Oh, wait a minute. Monkey Jeeves says the DC movie universe is a universe that's already living. Superman Legacy isn't an origin story. He's already Superman, and there's heroes before him. No, I get that. The problem is that they are taking liberties with the rest of the heroes within the DC universe. They have decided that Jon Stewart will be the official Green Lantern for the movies. Part of the reason why it took them so long to announce who Jon Stewart was going to be for Lanterns is they needed to cover in negotiating not just for appearance in the television series, but also in films. And that's why they chose this actor. So this is definitely what they wanted. Looks like Kyle Chandler won't be doing the movies. In fact, I don't think he's going to make it past the first season. So still don't understand why they were looking to hire Josh Brolin, but only have him. If you're not going to use him in movies eventually, that means you're going to either stick him solely on television or kill him. Those are your choices. So anyway, enough about that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying earlier, Monkey. People know Jon Stewart because of the cartoon, the Justice League cartoon. But the Justice League cartoon is not an adaptation of the comics. It is an alternate universe origin story for the Justice League, because not all of the characters in the Justice League cartoon were actually founding members of the Justice League. Wally West is the Flash, not Barry Allen, even though Barry Allen is the first, is the Flash. Barry, Hal, Ollie, that they were the triple threat. I think as a friend of mine used to refer to them as DC's Three Musketeers, because they work together so much, all three of them. So anyway, so that's today's show. On behalf of everyone with the Pop Culture Minefield Network, do please like, share, subscribe, and go ahead and just contact me by email if you want to write me a nice, fan letter, or if you just think the show sucks. Go ahead. I like hearing stuff. So on behalf of myself and my good buddy, the always very important and uber cool Martin, have a better day.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would. Later, everybody.
See you guys.